Hello everyone and welcome to my video, 10 reasons why Root is awesome. For those of you who don't know, Root is an asymmetrical game of territorial control and warfare as different factions vie over control of the forest, each with their own unique goals. In this video I'm going to talk about 10 reasons why I love Root and why it's so good and why I think you should play it. So, theme and artwork. Now, first impressions can play a massive part purchasing a game, and even though we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, sometimes we can't help but be drawn into a game based on purely how it looks. This can be the box art, the boards, the cards, the miniatures and figurines, or even the theme, nature, sci-fi, horror, fantasy, or games based on an existing brand. Root has a great theme, one that I'm immediately drawn to. It's not just the woodland critters and their quirky and cute art style, it's the whole packaging, the theme of the book, the art inside the booklet, the cards, the player boards. Everything is truly vibrant and unique. It's almost comical in a way how all these creatures in different factions can look cuddly and innocent, but at the same time the game is heavily based on war and territory control. So more often than not you'll have cards that have artwork of mice sharing tea, and then the next card will have a picture of a rabbit brandishing a sword and screaming a war cry. This brings me on to my second point, the way the factions play. Now Root comes with 4 unique factions: Marquise the Cat, the Eerie Dynasty, Woodland Alliance and the Vagabond. Each one has a unique way to score victory points, and although they share some common goals, like movement and combat, even combat can be varied for certain factions. So Marquise the Cat will focus on building sawmills, workshops, recruiters, all the while building up his massive cat army spread across the board. And the Eerie Dynasty uses a decree system. You'll play cards in your decree, allowing you to move and build and recruit extremely fast, and you're very powerful. But if you cannot build a roost at the end of your turn, you'll fall into turmoil. The Woodland Alliance starts by spreading sympathy tokens across the board, which then turn into basically bombs that you can use to place revolts and destroy all enemy PCs and place a base in instead and start building your massive Woodland Alliance army. And finally, the Vagabond only has 1 pawn unit, but can move it in between cleavings and forests, and also uses items and crafting and can go on quests and also help aid and build trusts and alliances with other factions. Despite the game having plenty of cards and PCs and tokens, the setup and takedown time is surprisingly quick. You place the board, the item ruin tokens. Each faction has a small set of instructions. Some may place tokens down the board straight away, some may start off with certain cards in their hand. Then shuffle the player cards, deal 3 to each player, and you're ready to go. It really helps the game's replay value and likability when you know it when to take an Ice Age to set up and take down. My next point is the solo mode, played with the Clockwork expansion. This generates an AI player and is even useful for 2 to 3 players to have an extra player on the board. Not only do I love how the robotic versions of the factions have funny names like Mechanical Marquise and Electric Eerie, but each one has a unique player board, allows the faction to operate competently and almost mirror exactly how the faction will play itself. Each one draws a card from the shared card pool, and based on the suit of the card, they'll perform certain actions in certain areas of the board. It allows the AI to be a force to be reckoned with. It doesn't stop just there, you also get 3 difficulty cards for each faction, which will modify how many places they can go to, how much movement they can do, their combat, and how many pieces they recruit, and also a set of 4 different challenging cards that can modify each faction's behaviour. One might make them recruit faster, or perform stronger in combat, or take pieces back quickly. You can combine one or all of these with difficulty settings to have a truly unique and varied solo experience for Root. The game comes with over 50 cards that players share and draw from. You start off with 3, and each turn you'll draw more and more as the game progresses. Not only does each card feature unique and hilarious, vibrant artwork, but I also love how each card is integrated into the gameplay. For a start, each card can be used for its effect, like granting you extra hits in battle, allowing you to gain extra points, or start a fight at the beginning of your turn. Some cards give you the option to craft items on top of the board, taking them to your faction player board and scoring more points. Now each faction has their own unique way of crafting, but also adds to the variety of gameplay. Each card has a different suit: fox, mouse, rabbit and bird. Now birds act as wild cards, can be used for any of the other suits, but each of these allows different factions to perform certain actions based on where they are. For instance, Marquise the Cat can use certain matching suits from their cards to build buildings in certain areas. The Woodland Alliance allows you to place cards as face down supporters. Then you can use these matching cleavings to perform powerful revolts and destroy enemy PCs and place your tokens down in their place. And finally, there are a few dominance cards en route. You can play these once you've reached 10 victory points on your victory track, and these give you a separate win condition based on cleaving you rule. And the expansions. Root on itself is a great game, full of content and providing hours of entertainment. However, like a lot of games, it is inevitable that expansions will be released. I've already mentioned the Clockwork expansion that gives you a full solo mode and AI players, but there's also the Riverfolk expansion and the Marauders expansion coming soon. With some games though, expansions can be a blessing and a curse. They can add too much content, make it too confusing, mix up the rules, or try to contradict existing rules in the game itself. With Root though, it takes what makes the base game great and just adds more player factions, more boards, more cards, more variety, which is just what's great about this game. The game comes with a learn to play, or should I say play by learning, small booklet. One of the biggest hurdles of a new game is rules. Especially for big games like this, having a bombardment of rules thrown at new players can be quite off-putting and quite daunting. Some games handle this better than others with easy to read instructions and player aids. However, Root goes one step further. The game comes with a play by learning guide, a small booklet that allows a 4-player game to be played out. Each player takes control of a faction, and the game tells you which cards to start with and which actions to take on your turn. This is great for new players, allowing you to play by learning, and also some people want to get straight into a game and just play straight away without having to go through tons and tons of text and reading and researching. This is greatly appreciated, as in most games having examples of the rules is the best way to learn, and some players learn just by playing or jumping straight in. So it's great. Combat in Root is fast and simple. It's one of those important actions you can take as well. Not only does it slow down players and ruin their plans, but it can also score your victory points and hinder them ultimately in their endgame goals. Combat is so simple. The attacker rolls the 2 dice. They take the higher number, the defender takes a lower number. You can only deal damage equal to the number of pieces you commit. So if you have 2 pieces and you roll a 3, you can only deal a maximum of 2 damage. Simple, effective and quick. Of course there's more to this. For instance, the Woodland Alliance always takes the higher roll in defense, and the Vagabond also uses items to take hits instead of his warriors, as he has no warrior tokens. Plus you can play cards that give you extra hits, and cards like Ambush. But I do love how such an important part of Root is also one of its simplest. The faction overview cards. Okay, you're playing the game, you're understanding your faction, you're learning, you're enjoying yourself, but this is a competitive game. What are the other guys doing on their factions? What are they up to? If you aren't used to the factions, you'll have no clue how close they are to victory. Yeah, they have the score tracker, but you don't know how effective their faction can be based on the board. Root comes with 4 faction overview cards, and these are dealt to each player. Not only does it give you a quick overview of the faction, their strengths and weaknesses, it also tells you how to play and what to look out for. This is a great tool for newcomers and those unsure about how a faction plays and wins, skipping the time it takes to learn and master each faction. These handy cards give you vital pieces of information, helpful to you and helpful against other players, so you know what they're up to and what they're going to be doing. And lastly, I think Root gets better the more you play it. Some games can feel stale after a few plays, or you can feel that everything the game has to offer you've experienced in the first few games. I mentioned earlier about all the factions and the variety, but also because of all the player cards and the combinations of factions you can have with different player counts, the replay value is super high for this game. When you finally start to master a faction, you want to play again and again, get a better score. Combine the different paths you can take, the victory points, the combat, you want to keep playing again and again and again, so you get better of each faction. Combined with great combat and multiple paths to victory, Root is a rewarding and addictive experience. And that's it for my video on the 10 reasons why Root is awesome. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you want to play Root now, or you're kind of intrigued by Root. Perhaps you already got Root and you forgot how good Root was. Either way, in the comments, let me down below what you think about Root. If you got Root, are you going to buy Root? Like and subscribe if you can, and thanks for watching.